Does your marketing need a facelift? Effective marketing strategies start with really strong messaging. And the problem is, though, so many business owners, they focus more on new strategies without considering the importance of their messaging. So, what I want to go through today is how to know if your messaging could use a refresh and some ideas to help you do just that. My name is Elia Foshron, and I'm the co founder of Move, Think, Smile, and we help health and wellness companies make their marketing work. And today we're talking all about messaging. So, if you're not sure if your messaging could use a refresh, well, here are a few telltale signs. Number one, you're not getting the conversions that you want. Number two, you've never tested at least 20 variations of your offer to see what resonates best. If you kind of picked an offer and haven't really touched it since you started it, then definitely your marketing could use a refresh. And if you haven't revisited your messaging in over a year, like if your website and your emails haven't been touched in years, then there's a very good chance your messaging could use an overhaul. So let's talk about what I hear and our team hears all the time when we talk to health and wellness experts. So, some of the things that we hear them say is that they don't feel confident in their messaging, or they don't actually realize that they have a messaging problem and they blame their strategy or their SEO or their tech for their marketing struggles. And, some have actually had the same offer on their website for years, and now it just feels stagnant and they're starting to see more competition. And so they're really looking for ways that they can stand out. So if any of this also sounds familiar, then I think you're really going to get a lot out of this short training because I'm going to give you 5 simple ways to refresh your company's messaging. So, number one, the first thing you want to do is reconnect with your ideal clients. What I want you to do is become a social scientist and learn what your ideal clients are up to now. So I really want you to think, have their problems changed? Who else is marketing to them? And what are they confused about? Because while diseases of lifestyle and chronic illnesses, the names of them and the diagnoses might not have changed, but the landscape of people finding health solutions changes regularly, and who they're being marketed, who is marketing to them also changes. And what people are saying about health also changes because as we know, right? Well, some years eggs are in, some years eggs are out. Some years kale is in and some years it's out. So it's really important to know what's happening and what your clients are consuming around their health. So here are some ways that you can reconnect. You could host a live Q&A where you just allow your audience or the people on your email list to just come in and ask you any questions that they want on a live Q&A. You don't need to do a fancy webinar. You don't need to do a big masterclass. You don't have to have, everything lined out A to Z. You just allow people to come in and have a conversation with you, connect with them, let them ask questions about their health issue, and really, take them through some different things that will help them figure out what some options are. Also, you can join groups where your ideal clients hang out and see what they're talking about because there's nothing more powerful than using people's words, your ideal clients' words, not yours, but theirs. And going into Facebook groups for different conditions like chronic fatigue or infertility or diabetes and seeing what people who are struggling with this problem are saying, that's a really important thing. Now, you might be saying, Ellie, I already have a Facebook group, but people aren't engaging that much. That's another topic and actually could have to do with your messaging. If so, if you don't have a lot of people engaging in your own group, go join groups that service the same type of client who, and if they have engagement, go see what the people are saying in there. And then this really comes down to understanding how your clients speak and how they think. And this is what we call think talk. And it's really, really important to start weaving this into your messaging. And that means in your social media content, in your emails, on your website. Now, speaking of websites, it's also really powerful to visit your competitors' websites. How are they communicating to your audience? What stands out to you about what they're saying? So you have to be careful with this exercise because you might land on someone's website and think, oh my gosh, they must be, making millions. Look at their beautiful website. But again, you just don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So I'm not saying that if you see a competitor's website, you should absolutely adopt their messaging. You just want to have an idea of how are other people in your similar space marketing to the same type of ideal client. Are they all kind of saying something similar? That will help you figure out, one, if that's a common denominator, and two, how you could separate yourself out from what we like to call the sea of sameness. So refreshing your understanding of who your ideal clients are, what they think, and what challenges they're facing really is crucial when it comes to having powerful messaging. The next thing you want to do is really tailor your content to your audience. So, this is another simple way to just freshen up your messaging. So, if your ideal client, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, I want you to think about where your clients are when they land or come into your circle. So if your ideal client doesn't fully understand their problem or thinks the problem might be something else, then creating stories and quizzes will really help them see themselves in either the story narrative, or the quiz will help them kind of self-diagnose what their real issues are and lead them to you in order to seek help. So think about that. If your ideal client doesn't fully understand their problem or think it's something else, create a lot of content that has to do with stories. So past clients, or general stories that you see out there that a lot of people are struggling with, and how they're trying to deal with the problem that's actually the wrong way. Really detail out those stories that can be powerful, along with quizzes, because you're out there just trying to do your job. You're trying to help people take action on their health so that they can stop these diseases of lifestyle, they can transform themselves, and they can be, of course, more productive and more present at their work, and of course, obviously more present with their family and their loved ones. Now, I want you to think about this as well. If your ideal client is aware of their problem and knows the solution, but still hasn't taken action, then be sure to spend a lot of time sharing insider secrets and emphasize the problem. So it could be like, again, the secret to not losing your hair when you have Hashimoto's, or the secret to lowering your A1C when, it won't budge, or it hasn't budged in the last month. And really agitate the problems that they're experiencing and present your solution and your services, because here they already know about the problem, and now they just really need some support. They need an advocate in their corner to push them over the edge to get that help. Because remember too, a lot of times people with health issues, chronic health issues, they have normalized their symptoms and they're used to feeling bad. Even though they really do want to get help, sometimes they're kind of like, well, I can just keep putting up with this. Now, if you attract the type of client where they have tried everything, maybe they've worked with a ton of other providers or practitioners and they're still struggling, and they come to you and they're just kind of like, no one can figure this out. And I'm so like fed up. I'm so tired. I'm so frustrated. Well, if that's the case, then create content that shows their problem can be solved no matter what they've tried before, and be very direct with your offer. There's no need for educational type content. Just be very direct, because again, they've been there, they've done that. Let's get them in, show them that their problem can be solved, and show them why other solutions might not have worked. Now, the third easy way to freshen up your marketing and your messaging, really through your marketing, because that's what we're talking about today, is to set realistic expectations for your marketing and what's going to happen once you shift your messaging. This is really important. I've seen a lot of really great health and wellness practitioners get out there with a message that's actually really powerful, but they just don't actually give it enough time to gain traction and to get legs. And this really depends on how many people are surrounding your business, how many leads, how many people on your email list, and if those people are active and how many people might be following you. This really depends on what's happening in your sphere of influence. So the impact of messaging changes varying on your business and your strategy. So I want to give you a couple of examples. So if you're running paid ads to a landing page, well, the cool thing with messaging is you can get feedback really quickly. But the important thing to remember here is you want to make small progressive tweaks to understand what drives the results on your landing page. One thing that we see often, and of course we did in the very beginning too, is we would go in and make drastic changes on our landing pages, and a lot of them. And when things started working, then we didn't really know actually what was the thing that tipped this message into working really well. So you want to take small little steps, drive traffic, see what happens, take another small step, drive traffic, see what happens. If your marketing is organic, results can also, of course, vary, but with an active audience, you might even see changes in 24 hours. One of the clients that we work with, Jake Porter, who is a licensed professional counselor, he did some changes in his messaging. He had a very, active email list, and within 24 hours, he had a slew of calls coming in. He actually ended up with over $100,000 in sales from shifting his messaging in his emails. But if you don't have a very active audience, or you don't have a lot of people kind of in your sphere following you, well, without this, it could take more than a month. I mean, it could take 3 months or so if you're really trying to get out there and get your message across to people, but you just don't have that many people listening. Then we can't say a messaging doesn't work if you haven't given it enough time. So I always like to ask myself and our clients, it's like, do more than 500,000 people have this problem? That's what I like to ask myself. And if so, then I ask, hey, if I had more clients, or if more clients saw my offer, do I think that they would convert? So is this really just a matter of getting enough eyeballs on my message, or is it actually that my message is wrong? And this is a really important distinction to make. And often it's a very fine line that you need to work on sort of gradually, and sort of pushing the boundaries on each. Now, if you work locally, you might be saying, well, I live in a small town. Elliot, what are you talking about? More than 500,000 people? Like, there's not enough people in my town to hit that number. But remember, for a lot of the practitioners that we see and work with, and if you haven't gotten there yet, there is so much opportunity for you to be able to work with clients online in various modalities and in various different ways. So I always like to ask the question, do more than 500,000 people have this problem in the US? And if so, it's probably more of a matter of, have enough people seen my offer versus is my offer not viable. So this is really important fine line and balance to hit. Now, the fourth way to overhaul your messaging in a really easy way is, of course, to use AI. AI can save you a ton of time and effort. It is amazing, but some wellness practitioners avoid it. And this is what I hear all the time. They say, this just doesn't sound like me. But with the right prompts, you can teach AI to match your brand's voice. So what's important here is, don't be afraid to experiment with different commands to get the content that you want. Now, here are a couple of quick tips that we use with our clients and we use in our own business. It's really important. When you're just starting out utilizing AI, you can let it know, hey, I want you to act like a world-renowned marketing and sales expert who has a deep understanding of human psychology and marketing. And you can say, I'd like you to help me craft compelling content that instills buying beliefs and encourages my client to want to buy from me. And then what you can do is insert a mission statement. Insert the demographics, the target, the problem that your ideal client is having, so that AI understands this demographic and understands this client. And then you can ask it to give you a recap of your offer and your target demographic, so that you know that AI understands who you're speaking to before you move forward and start creating a lot of content. Now, once the content starts getting created, be sure to give AI lots of feedback. You can say, hey, I really like this. Hey, this is really good. Hey, this is great. Or you can say, this is missing the mark, or this doesn't sound like me. Let's add a little bit more humor, or let's add more professionalism. Or you can say, okay, I don't think you quite understand. Let's back up a few steps. I want you to create something that speaks to these 3 pain points. Please create a short email that asks the client to book a call with me addressing these 3 problems. So you want to be very specific, and you want to give it feedback continually. So if you haven't played with AI for generating messaging for your business, you are going to want to take advantage of this, because all the wellness practitioners that we work with and speak to, it doesn't matter if you're just getting started in your business or if you are in year 10, you're always looking to save time. So definitely leverage AI. And the 5th thing that you want to do to help refresh your messaging is, of course, refresh your email welcome sequence. When is the last time you looked at your welcome email sequence? Or do you even have one? So after you've collected a lot of the data, you've looked at, of course, okay, what's happening in your ideal client's life right now? What are some of the things that they're struggling with? Who's talking to them? What kind of things are they seeing in the news and online about solving health problems? Now that you've got all of that information, you've got a lot of new juicy bits of information, go back in and look at your emails, refresh them. Heck, pop them into AI, Chat GPT, and say, hey, please refresh this email by adding in these 4 components, whatever you might like it to be, right? Or please make this more up to date by including, and then ask it to rewrite it for you. So doing this is going to really help spice up your list. It's going to showcase your brand's unique value and the personality that you want to bring to your company to ideal, clients or to leads that are coming into your email list. It's going to be really important. So by implementing even just a few of these strategies, the 1 through 5 strategies that I just went over, you can inject new energy into your business and create messaging that really resonates with your ideal clients in a memorable way. So it's really, really important to just dive back in. We are constantly looking at our messaging. Messaging is something that should be organic and should shift over time. Now, there's a lot of things that can happen when it comes to messaging and tweaks. Sometimes they're going to be small, sometimes that they're going to be larger. But what's really important is that you're constantly coming back to check things out. I talk to a lot of people where they put up websites or they put things out there and they don't touch it for years, or they're really not taking a look and a deep dive into their messaging. And instead, they're trying to jump ahead and do paid ads or hire a bunch of companies to do these other things, or hire a marketing VA. And the problem is their messaging just still isn't quite right yet. And they need to go back to the drawing board and do a little bit more tweaking. So which of these strategies are you going to try first? So I'm just going to go back over these really quickly. So we have basically reconnect with your ideal clients. Remember, going out there and kind of being that social scientist. Then we've got tailor content to your audience. So asking yourself, where do your ideal clients live? Do they know what the problem is? Are they clear about that? Do they have a diagnosis? Have they already tried a bunch of other practitioners and they're just kind of like at the end of their rope? You need to be able to answer that question. Then, of course, set realistic expectations about your marketing and messaging, and understand that there is going to be a variance of time before a message really gets legs. And this is very dependent on the number of eyeballs that are seeing your message. And of course, how big your warm network is and the number of people that are following you and how active they are. Number 4, use AI for a messaging overhaul to really help you recreate your messaging. And number 5, refresh your welcome sequence, or if you don't have one, go ahead and build one. So in the comments below, let me know, which strategy will you try first?